might be live already, and we're talking about singing. Oh, there's everybody. Hi. Hey, Tim. Yeah, we were running just a couple minutes late. We were talking about you behind your back.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Tim, we're not running late. We were just literally discussing Tim Flynn
That's right.
before we got on.
That's right.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just a joke.
What's that? The Gandalf, a wizard is never late. He always arrives when he means to, or whatever it is. That's right.
Yep.
So a skillzard? We're not wizards. We're skillzards.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the same ring, though.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it sounded good in the brain, just not.
Yeah, some things don't come through in translation.
Yeah, you see, guys, it's okay for the professor to be late. It's not okay for the students to be late.
Oh, I think I just taught that lesson the other day.
Right.
So now, wait a minute. We're going to be a little bit later because I got to take a second and just, I'm not very good at tooting my own horn. So I'm going to toot my own horn for just a second. I just got interviewed by the Motivated Martial Arts podcast, which is run by Gavin and Jackson. For you guys that are watching from the UK, that is our UK affiliates for Skillz. So please check it out because I don't want to be the one that gets no likes, no views, no downloads, or nothing. I mean,
it was pretty good.
Gordon Fern got like 500 downloads in like the first 30 seconds. So come on. You guys got to hook me up a little bit here.
Yeah, but that's like a tag B kind of concept, they're all within that same family. So of course, the whole entire family.
Well, and Gordon is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to hang out with Gordon, buy him some nachos. You'll have a good friend.
And a beer, and he's a better friend.
All right. So today, that was my little toot of my horn. So hopefully you guys will check that out. But today we want to talk to you guys about speed and quickness and what the difference is between the two. We know that there are some things, and in fact, most things in our business, when we want to commit to a goal, we need to take rapid, immediate action on whatever that goal is. We know statistically that if you take more than 24 hours or so to at least take the initial steps on a goal that you set, you are so much less likely to actually follow through on that goal. So, for example, you come to MegaCon, you come to VIP Day, which, by the way, there's only like 10, 11 tickets left, something like that.
And also price will be going up around the middle of March.
That's It'll still be worth it, but don't wait that long.
Yeah. Save yourself the $100.
Yeah. So, you come to MegaCon to VIP Day. We're going to dig really, really deeply into some topics. You get these great ideas. You write them down. You put them in your notebook. And then you don't do anything until like a week later. You're probably, and not completely, but probably not going to take as much action on that as you would have if you would have left that particular meeting. And as you're grabbing some refreshment, set the initial steps in motion. So in many senses, speed is part of success. I would say even in the martial arts, we could draw that parallel.
I was just writing it down. Speed is part of the success, but you got to have a certain amount of, steps from the minute you learn it to the minute you take off with it. There is those little steps in the way that needs to be fulfilled first before you hit it. Kind of like sparring. You know what I mean? People don't just become fighters. People are not born to be fighters. You know what I mean? They learn the system, they learn the method, they learn the drills, they apply the drills. We do bag drills, and then we do partner drills, and then we go to competitions with it to test the speed out, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to running that business too.
Yeah, even with speed, I mean, done is better than perfect.
Yep.
But we don't want to go in saying, well, I'm just going to do this imperfect thing. You're still going to do your best, and you still need to have some sort of plan to be able to execute. If you're just throwing stuff up and hoping that something's going to land, well, the technician's going to take you apart every single time. If all other things are equal and you're facing somebody that's a technician, they're just going to break you down. I typoed that. There we go. By the way, don't forget to follow us on TikTok. There's mine. There's his. get on it.
Mine disappeared. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, I forgot the little @ symbol, so I had to fix that. It's back. So, when we look at speed, understand that the conversations we're having today are not about not taking action or slowing down in any way. The conversations we're going to have today are more about being cautious and mindful about how we look at speed. We all know that as entrepreneurs, we've all been labeled as just, oh, you're the guy that's looking to get rich quick. Well, yeah, that would be nice. It's not my goal or my motivating factor, but it would be nice to get rich overnight. But we know that, people don't always see our journey either. John, how long have you been a business owner?
20. Okay. In Atlanta alone, 20 years.
Okay.
That's prior to when I was 18 years old. Or don't forget when I was 18 years old too.
Sure. So I'm about the same. We just had our 21st anniversary, so we're within a couple percent of one another.
Yep.
Would you say that you're more successful now than at the beginning of your business career? Forget martial arts, just business in general.
No, man, I failed. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, of course. I mean, it took us 20 years to get.
I was going to have to smack you there for going the wrong way.
It took us 20 years to get to where we are today.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look and they just see today, right? And I'm still not where I want to be, and I'm sure you're the same way. You probably still have goals and vision. So, when you look at success, even though it may look quick to you, like, oh, John did this thing, and I'm going to do that thing too, and it's going to work for me, and I'm going to get 100 students, and or whatever. It doesn't work like that, guys. So we want you to be cautious about expectations that you set for yourselves, expectations you have of your coaches and mentors, expectations you have of your students, because we always do like to talk about that training experience as well. And we're just going to kind of walk this journey, and hopefully if the shoe fits, you can wear it and maybe make some tweaks. And if the shoe doesn't fit, maybe you'll get something out of it anyway. Either way, feel free to join the conversation. This is all about you today. So John, what is this? First of all, we have to be able to identify, I think, this mindset in ourselves. And it's not always easy, because very often you're in the mix. If we use that sparring analogy that you brought up, you're throwing down, right? Yep. Hooking, jabbing, biting, scratching, calling names, whatever. And you're in the middle of it. Sometimes it's hard to see when you're panicking, when you've been driven back, when you've hunkered down instead of stepping to the angle. Yep. So how do we kind of recognize this in our business, that we're having this I don't want to say get rich quick, but maybe the inappropriate shortcut mindset? What are some red flags that we would see in ourselves?
So if there is one thing that I will, bring to everybody's attention, and this is something that every now and then Jennifer will smack me on the back of the head for, would be, you're so busy doing things, but the results are not there. So if you're trying to do all this work and, you're trying to do all this stuff, and then you're not seeing the results, you're busy, you're doing work, but you're not slowing down to break things down that needs to be broken down properly, right? You're not methodically putting things out there in order for it to work for you. You're, focus on video creation, but you're not focusing on the content to kind of prepare your clientele what that video creation is all about.
Now, you just made a comment there, you do a lot of work and you're busy, but you're not going anywhere. So my teacher used to love the analogy of comparing us as performance athletes to a performance car. So this is, you go through the years of building this 1967 Chevelle SS, and you build this thing, you take it out into the street and you want to race somebody, and you mash down the gas pedal and the tires they light up and there's smoke and the crowd is like, ooh, and the Subaru has already made it the quarter of a mile, because even though it's maybe not as powerful, it has all the right things, doing the right things at the right time. Whereas with your car, you're super powerful, you're doing a lot of work, but you can go anywhere. And what happens next? Man, if I could just downshift, if I could only step on the gas harder, maybe if I, and you're not looking at that bigger picture of, hey, my inability to get forward is not the problem today. It was the problem yesterday when I designed my car. So sometimes we have to take a step back a little bit when you're doing a lot, but nothing is happening. Let's say, good morning, Gavin. Enjoying your fame. Yes, I am. I am enjoying my fame.
It's Michelangelo in a kilt.
So I actually sent that picture over as a joke. I never expected that they would use it. All right, it's there. So some other red flags, working on that analogy is you start looking for like, what am I doing wrong? What can I fix now that's going to get the result that I want?
All right. So you know what? Let's take sparring again as an analogy, right? Okay. You're good, right? You're flexible. You've got quick hands. You've got quick feet. You're able to do a lot of stuff, right? But your match is 2 minutes long. Okay. And then you get in there, and within the first 30 seconds, okay, you have thrown every possible combination you've thrown, and now you're tired, your energy is low, and you're out of breath. You've got 1.5 minutes left. What are you going to do? Right? It's the same thing when it comes to running that business, right? We'll do this, and that, and then you go into that panic mode, right? And then before you know it, in that 1.5 minutes, your competitor just came back and kicked you in the ass so hard that, you're just like, what just happened? What just happened? I was 4-0 and this dude just got me, 7-4, right? It's that busy bee kind of concept. Not taking the time to study your area, study your community, study your, honing your drills. Like, for example, if you guys are Skillz members or pre-Skillz members, or I don't know, whatever you are, right? If you're not spending the time to actually understanding the components of what you've got, in other words, understanding the combos that you're throwing, when to throw it, what's strategic out there. If he throws a round kick, I'm going to do A, B, C, D and get away, right? Versus I'm just going to go in there and gun-ho this guy out of, like, it's not a full contact who's going to knock who out. It still is a back and forth sport, right? So it's the same thing with running that business, right? Like, I don't think we spend the time in understanding the concept to its fullest.
Sure. So I think, using the sparring analogy, let's say that your school is doing fine, but it's not doing as well as you'd like. I don't want to make the assumption that everybody that watches has a failing business. Maybe your school is doing wonderfully. You just want to be able to do better. So you got this match to go into. You've trained your heart out for 6 months, and you're about to go into, you go into round one, and you get your block knocked off a little bit. You go back to your corner. Your coach says, take off your uniform. Now, funny story, I actually did have a guy strip down on one of my fighters last year, stripped down right to his skivvy drawers to show off his body, then got knocked out. Anyway, so your coach strips you down. You got your quick 30 seconds. He puts on this fancy new uniform. It's got patches and racing stripes, and it's made out of like cotton poly, no wrinkles, looks good. Is that going to fix your fight?
I don't see how.
I mean,
it may be. It might have a slight motivation, right?
Yeah, a little motivation, but that's not going to fix underlying problems in your fight strategy, in your fight prep. Maybe if you're gassed out, the uniform isn't going to do it. Yeah. And even with something as powerful as Skillz, we see people who, and this is one of those, if the shoe fits, wear it. I'm not accusing anybody. I actually want you to recognize it so we can help you. We see people who say, oh man, my school is struggling. I bought Skillz. I started doing it the next day. And, it's not helping. I'm still not getting people in the door. I still can't sign people up. What's going on? This was supposed to fix everything. There are so many components. Now, Skillz is more powerful than putting on a fancy new uniform. But the analogy there is that unless you fix underlying problems, no matter what color paint you put on the outside, that car is still just going to spin its tires. So, one of the most common things I think we see in our industry is, well, how do I get more students?
It's the fast, it's the fast, quick approach of how to get new members versus gradual members.
Now, look, we have a certain jargon, and like, I know my numbers and I know what a student value is, and I get all that. A student has a certain value that comes into my school, certain costs associated. I think the first caution that I would put out there is stop looking at students as the commodity currency in your business. And while, we know we do need students to pay the bills and everything, it does two things. First of all, psychologically, for us, it turns them into numbers. None of us wants to be a number, and while you may have processes to not have your students be numbers, why would you put that burden on yourself to have that extra little hurdle? The second thing it does is it makes you look at student count as a measure of success or as a measure of business health, making those students, only be a certain value based on tuition. And what that does is it stops you from thinking creatively. So students are not just worth tuition. Students are not just worth add-on programs. Students are not just worth all of the money they give you. They are also worth all of the referrals and all of the, everything that they bring in. So when we start saying, I need 7 more students to be able to break even, and we do it too. It's one metric of how you calculate things, but don't let that be the metric.
Okay, but the one thing that I want to add to this is, because you brought up a very good point of the number of students. Okay, the number of students will make you or break you, right? That's pretty much what you're saying. However, there is this sense of the law of attraction, right? If I say 7 more students is what I need to break even, you know what's going to happen right there, right?
You're going to get 7 students and that's it.
You're going to get your 7 students and that's it, right? Next month, 4 students are going to quit, right? But you're going to sign up 4 more students because you reached that goal. So say that 7 students is going to get you to, let's make it a perfect number of 100 members in your studio, right?
Okay.
And right now you're sitting at 93. And if we say 7 more students, that means I'm going to reach 100. And then I'm going to plateau at 100 because that's what you called out in the universe. It's the law of attraction, right? And then what's going to happen is the following month, 4 people are going to sign up. I will guarantee you by the end of that month, 4 people will quit.
Yeah, it balances out.
Exactly.
And the other part is, like, putting 7 students in a school is easy. You could put 100 students in your school tomorrow. And some of you are like, oh, but you said no quick fixes. Yeah, and the problem is those 100 students won't be the right fit. They're going to end up costing you money and losing some of the students you already had because you weren't prepped for it. I see, and I'm not putting down anybody's product because there are some amazing products out there that can help you grow. The problem is in marketing many of these products, they like to hold up the couple people that say, well, I got 70 leads by one day.
Yep.
Okay, were you able to handle those 70 leads? Were you able to enroll them and treat them with quality? If 70 people walked into my school tomorrow, I'd be in trouble. And I'm not saying that like I don't have my act together. I think we have our act together pretty well. But I'd be in trouble if 70 new people walked in tomorrow.
But I bet you anything as well that out of those 70 people that walk in tomorrow, I can guarantee you at least 30 to 40 of them may not be the right fit for your studio.
And that's the key. Like 100 students in a day, I can do it. And in fact, when we first joined Skillz, it was because in 1 week, we added 20 students that were all 3 and 4-year-olds. In 1 week, I added 20 students. And we failed miserably. And that was our impetus for joining Skillz, to be able to teach them better. It's finding, like John said, the right people to get in there that are going to match your culture, that want what you do, that are willing to pay, and that you know how to service, because it's a relationship. It works both ways.
The other thing that we do as well is, so this, what I'm about to say could be taken in so many different directions, right? You brought up the point of, we're in a match, right? You go out and your coach tells you to do this, to take off the uniform and put the uniform on, right? The problem is, sometimes we may have coaches, we may not have coaches, right?
You should have coaches.
You should have coaches. I mean, hey, listen, Michael and I mentor others, but at the same time, Michael and I are mentees, and we're being mentored by Melody, right? And then at the same time, Melody has a mentor that helps her out, or maybe multiple mentors, right? The thing here is, when you're choosing a mentor, and I did a post about this a while back, and it was, about Skillz coaching, or just the coaching in general, and the 8 different skills that you need to look for when you're, or the 8 different skills that your mentor should have or will have. Okay. Listen, if you have a mentor, things will be much, much faster, much smoother, right? And it will take you to that next level. It will take you to bringing people in the door. Now, don't be too upset when your mentor tells you to slow down. Don't be too upset when your mentor tells you, nope, you're doing that wrong, right? You need to do it this way. And, it's just a much better approach. But listen, I want to do it. I was like, well, I mean, go ahead, go for it. I mean, a mentor is nothing but an advisor, right? You can take the advice, or you can do what you want to do. The end, what will those results be?
And this is one of those areas where, like, we led this off saying it's not that speed is a problem. And in fact, we need speed in order to take advantage of certain things, to be early adopters, to do things before we talk ourselves out of it. Like, how many times have you had a good idea and you say, all right, tomorrow I'm gonna, and then you wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh, but what if?
Yeah.
So a coach, or even just that entrepreneurial spirit, which I advise that you do have several coaches. No one coach has all of your answers. And if you have a coach that says, only do anything my way, that is a coach with a lack of perspective. Get a different one. But the coach is going to help you really leverage all of your abilities, all of your knowledge, and their experience and abilities to move more quickly. But I guarantee it won't be that a coach is going to say, here, run this ad. I guarantee you'll have the 20 new students you need by tomorrow. If they do, you might want to find another coach too. That's not to say that having a better marketing plan or better advertising will not help along the journey, but there's no single quick fix that's going to really just revolutionize your business.
Yep.
Hold on, 11 words. Man, that's where bad people go when they get in trouble from the government, making big rocks into little rocks. I hope you're doing something a little better than that. Good morning, Rich. And here's kind of the difference. When we talk about, using a coach to kind of turbocharge your progress, we're talking about being more effective in what you're doing. Using the analogy of the car, maybe it's somebody that says, hey, you need to change your gear ratios. We're going to put some slicks on. We're going to teach you how to better regulate the clutch and the gas so that, you get better traction, and then we'll turn it up. With the sparring analogy, the coach is going to be the guy that says, all right, this one didn't go so well. Maybe it's this round or this fight. Let's go back and we're going to train it and we're going to tweak it. And you see how you keep dropping your left every time that you fake jab and keep tagging it. He's a great counterpuncher. In the second round, these are the adjustments we need to make. It's not going to win you the fight, but it's going to stop him from taking advantage. And now you'll be back on even fighting ground. So that's what the coach does. If the coach says, hey man, put on this fancy new uniform. Hey man, just run this ad. Hey, just buy this product. That's, me in the word just. We've talked about that before. Remove that from your vocabulary. Usually what we do is, as Skillz coaches, we look at things from a Skillz perspective. Now, we each teach different things. We've trained different things, so that flavors what we do. But I think what we also look at is we start off with, wait a minute, can you handle more students? And I'm just using this one as the example because it's so common. Can you handle more students? What would you do if 10 new students walked in tomorrow? What's your sign-up process like? Are those 10 students walking in and not enough of them are signing up? Let's go back a little farther. What's your mat like? Is it overcrowded? Is it well run? Are you teaching lessons that the people need to learn? Let's look at your message. What's that?
Yeah, your message, absolutely. What does your content layer look like?
So if you guys are in the Skillz group, Ron Graziano actually had a great set of responses on a post regarding something similar where he says, you have to have congruency in your message. And that is very important. What you teach has to match what they want, has to match what you advertise, has to match what you're selling. Everything has to be in place. Then look at what's your value package like. Are you asking $300 a month and you're throwing the kid a sweatshirt that somebody else was wearing yesterday? Or are you really saying, hey, my class sizes are limited? That's supply and demand. That's business basics.
What does your appearance look like? What does your studio look like? I mean, you can be the best damn instructor there is out there, right? But if your studio is not looking great, it doesn't look, I'm going to use the word homey, okay? If it doesn't look comfortable enough for, those members and those parents to walk in the door and feel right at home, then not.
It's got to be their second space or their third space. They've got home. What's the third space they're in? It should be your school.
Last week we've had 3 of the number of trials that we had, 3 members who walked in who previously trained in other studios and other martial arts, and they were like, "This is your lobby." Like, everybody wants to walk in the front room because you know how I've got the 2 doors in the front room. Everybody wants to walk in the front room thinking that's the studio. And I'm like, no, go to that door right there, right after the elevator. And they walk in, they're like, this is your lobby. You know what I mean? And the first thing, as soon as they walk in the door, if it's not cinnamon, if it's not vanilla, if it's not lavender, just a smell, that's the first thing.
You don't have the dirty feet candle burning?
I mean, every now and then, every now and then, depending on which teenager we have for the night.
There's that, yeah.
So there is that. But I will have to say, like, strategically speaking, our teenagers class is at the very end of the day, right after, most kids 3 to 10 years old, their feet are not going to be raunchy. They're not going to be like stinking, disgusting, right? It's the teenage years when the hormone kicks in. Yeah. So that's like at the very end of the day. 90% of the time, the prospects are gone by then, But, again, what does your message say? Okay. Does your message on your social platform speak the same language as your videos, speaks the same language as when you talk to them on the phone, as when they walk in the door?
And your advertising. So usually, we talk about marketing a lot, but I think a lot of people still associate advertising with marketing, that this is what it is. Advertising is certainly part of it, but even the feel of your ad, I'm not talking about the message, just the feel of it. So we model ourselves as an educational facility. If I pump out a bunch of ads that have a whole bunch of childhood development stuff and then sign up now 6 weeks for $3 and free uniform and your kid will get a puppy. So my text may have been congruent in my copy, but if my offer is not congruent with the feel, that also makes a difference. So all right, you talk. I want to see what you're talking about over here. Through the elevator.
Tim says, after
You
the
took the
elevator,
elevator?
damn.
Come on, man.
Yes, I've got an elevator in my studio, bro. I'm just kidding.
That's not for martial artists. Martial artists, man, we climb the brickwork to get up there.
Hey, we've got the rope, and we just
You got a kung fu jump up there.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be an awesome video next time we're down there.
With a kilt.
Make sure nobody's below you.
Listen, guys, we all want the fast, quick wins. We all want the quick results. We all want, to stand out big time in our community. Okay, I'm going to be fully transparent. And I think I've mentioned this on a couple of episodes ago. Our county here in Georgia went from where the schools had no after school programs. Like parents needed aftercare, they had to go to daycares or they had to go to places like us. This last year, the beginning of this school year, the area that we live in, all of a sudden the schools have the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCA doing after schools in their facility. You know what I mean? So now, instead of them paying me what we're worth, right? They're now paying $50 a week, and the kids literally get out of the elementary school classroom straight to the cafeteria, and you've got those people watching them, YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club. Most people would be panicking.
So that's a good example too of how speed is important. If you didn't have anything at all to offer and you were trying to catch up to that, you'd be in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but I mean, you have a harder time of it. I mean, you got ahead of it.
And what they're charging is anywhere from like 50% to 25% less than what we're charging. I don't care. I mean, that your parents, like, unless they see the value in your program, they're going to be jumping ship to go over there, right? Now, I got a lot of questions. Well, why are you more expensive? Why? And to them, it's more expensive, right?
Sure.
To us, what we provide for our after-school program is not just one art, but 4 different arts, right? Or 4 different concepts in the after-school program. So that alone, it outweighs, the charge. But it's like, well, because A, we're different by design. B, we understand the science and psychology of, how children learn, play, and grow. We are more of a childhood development facility, not just a martial arts school or not just a daycare at your studio watched by high school people. D, our team is trained to understand like what your child is all about. When your children act the way they act, we understand why. Where over there, they're just hired members just to watch your kids.
Yeah. Now, UK people, our UK friends, this is a good thing to pay attention to. So I know a lot of times we get talking and you're like, oh, those Americans and their entrepreneurial stuff. But I know a lot of you guys do teach in clubs and in after school type programs. And I know some of you that are coming on board with Skillz are actually now leveraging that to become more of an educational program with the schools. And this is kind of how we do it. We're really selling this message of not just another program. I'm not coming in and teaching highlight or basket weaving or just another program that the kids can do. I'm coming in and filling a need that sometimes they didn't even know they had. So this might be something that works for you guys. So let me pop up this graphic real quick. There's something I posted in the Skillz group a while back. So this is a poll that was done by the Pew Research Center. And teen anxiety and depression is on the rise, like catastrophically. A lot of it is actually tied to unfettered use of electronics and the way that the dopamine response plays with their neurotransmitters, and it goes really deep. But what's happening is kids nowadays, when they ask what the major problems in their life is, now this was done for teens, and I don't know the age group on the teens. So I'm going to assume that for me, teens actually means anywhere from 10 to 15 years old for me, with extreme and elite skills, that sort of thing. How many of us are advertising, is your child having a problem with bullying? Now, I have an unfair look into our industry, being in our industry. So I get to see that over the past few days, over a dozen schools posted the same exact thing. Did you see the video of the young child who was bullied so much that he wanted to commit suicide? I'm so impacted by this that I want to commit X amount of 30-day free memberships to our neighborhood. Over a dozen schools posted that. Now, great. First of all, I also had a rant the other day. Are you qualified to deal with this? Bullying is a very complex issue. If you're not prepared to deal with it, stop selling that. Second of all, when you look at this graphic here, teens don't think bullying is their biggest problem. In fact, only 55% of teens think that bullying is a major problem at all. So if we want to start appealing to people, we need to appeal to the things they actually need, which in this case is anxiety and depression. Well, we know that Skillz, using the 4D training method, leveraging dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins to work on the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development of a child, really does address anxiety and depression, both on a neurotransmitter level and on a personality level, on the tools we give them. So now if my message is, I'm a childhood development center, I'm going to help your kid with bullying. Okay, I can teach your kid how to throat punch somebody and that bullying goes away real quick. Or I'm a childhood development center. Did you know that the greatest problem that teens see in their own lives is anxiety and depression? Here's how Skillz can help. Now I have a congruent message that actually speaks to something that people need. By the way, if you want to help with bullying, you'll stop talking to the victims and start talking to the parents of the bullies. That's how you make it go away. But having this congruency of message is so important, and making sure that you're really talking about what they want to hear, not just what you think they want to hear.
Wait, could you please repeat that last sentence? Because that's a lot of that one right there. A lot of school owners miss.
So you have to talk about what they actually want to hear, not what you think they actually want to hear.
Do you know why we do that? Do you know why we think, what they want to hear? Because we're kind of like the husbands in the relationship, right? The husband in every relationship, they want to fix the problem, right? So instead of actually listening to what the problem is, we'll just fix it. Maybe it doesn't need to be fixed.
Sensei-splaining, right?
My what?
You're sensei-splaining instead of mansplaining. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. You are.
So look at it this way, right? So we have a bunch of different programs we run in the school. To us, that means, well, I have early skills, core skills, later on we might have a competition team, but it all revolves around this core program of childhood development. If you go down the road to the other school, we've got a bunch of different programs in the school. I'm going to teach your kid Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and American Ninja Warrior.
Yep.
Yeah, but my kid is having problems with grades in school. Martial arts guarantees better grades. Does it? How? By doing Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo and American Ninja Warrior. There's such disconnect in the way that we speak to people. And in fact, I would encourage you to not speak to people until you shut up a little bit and listen to people and let them speak to you.
Yep. I mean, this
right there.
This is why we're created with 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah, I mean, we say in sales that the person who talks first loses, right? You do your price presentation, Mrs. Johnson, it's $167 a month. And then how do you get them to sign up? You shut up. Because if you start justifying, then they start counter-justifying, right? I forget about sales. So Mrs. Johnson, you're saying that, you want to bring your child to martial arts. Why is that important to you? And then what do?
Shut up and listen.
Shut up and listen. And then you don't turn around and give your spiel. So scripts are important in your business. It's a system. You should practice your scripts and have your scripts, but also not be controlled by them. Well, my child, he's really getting pushed around by the girls in school, and I really worry about what's going to happen to him. Well, great. Let me show you why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the greatest thing since, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. Some people will come to you and say, I want BJJ or I want Taekwondo or whatever. But what did they say they were worried about? Their kid getting pushed around by the girls at school. How are you addressing that? And then how are you tracking what's going on in your school? So, we look at, you've heard us talk about our antelopes. I know what my antelopes are here for. Some of them are here for athletic ability. Some of them are here for, social development. I know what they're here for. So when I talk about what we do, that's what I talk about. Why? Because I want more antelopes. I don't want the kid that's coming in to learn Kung Fu to go to tournaments. I mean, I'm not going to turn them away,
Yep.
But that's not why I'm doing it.
One of the email flows that we have in our system, and of course, I can't remember it verbatimly, is, hey, Mike, if you don't mind, I know your busy schedule and all, but if you don't mind, could you please send us, reply back to this email and tell us if there is one thing your child needs to improve the most, what would that be? Okay. It's literally a 2-3 liner. Okay. And I have not had a parent that wrote me back and say, my child is perfect, doesn't need anything. We will get.
I had one guy,
wow.
and this was actually eye-opening for us because he says, I've called, and I've spoken about him before. I've called the other 5 schools in the area, and all they said is how they're going to fix my kid. And my kid is perfect, exactly how he is. He just wants to do martial arts. So now, everybody was so busy sensei explaining that they didn't ask.
Just I'm glad you brought that up. Just to make it clear, that email goes out after they sign up. Okay. And we didn't say fix. We said that they would need to improve in or need to work on. Okay. Some parents are like, every single time we have them, we assign them a chore, they throw temper tantrums. Okay. Or another parent said, say what?
So do I, by the way.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the least favorite thing to do. Another parent said, well, they're really timid and shy around new people or new members. Those become your, what's the word? Organic content based off your members that you can take and do a quick parent skills video, or you can take and possibly do a small blog on, or if you get something very, very hefty and you don't know how to deal with it, send Jennifer a message. Hey, one of the parents asked this and I really don't know how to answer it. Could you do that as a blog? Those are the things that's going to make it organic content that parents wants to hear.
So here's what's cool about that. If you guys, there's a lot of people in our industry, but if you happen to follow Christopher Perilli, he does dojo muscle videos.
Yep.
Great product. They are kind of done for you canned videos, but they do one thing really well. Well, first of all, they convert at between 1 and 3 cents per video view in it. But anyway, they do one thing really well, and that's tell a story. And telling a story does not just mean relaying a set of events. What is the emotional part of that story? And his videos do that really well. I use them in my school, and they go into every advertising campaign I have has at least one of his videos. So, when you're worried about what do I post on Facebook? What do I post on Google Business? What do I post on TikTok? What do I, you're trying to be creative and you hit walls. What are the stories you already have in your school?
Yeah.
Because what John says about his school will never be as powerful as what someone else says or does, right? Because of course he's going to say good things about his business. It's his business. Now, you may have to be the proxy storyteller. You may have to be the one that tells this other child's journey. But how much more powerful is it to say, hey, let me tell you this story about this little boy named Bobby. And when Bobby first came to us, he wouldn't even come out from behind his mom's leg. It was really challenged. In fact, he had to come to our school for 2 months before he ever even stepped on the training floor. That was 3 years ago. Today, Bobby is the captain of the varsity soccer team, and he's only 6 years old. Now, I mean, I'm making this up a little bit, but when you tell that story of this is a success, and it's not my success, it was little Bobby's success.
Yep.
I just helped him along. Now at the end, I can say something like, we really take such joy out of seeing the success of students just like little Bobby. If your child is kind of struggling socially like this, please reach out to us so we can see whether this might be a good way for us to help. And I'm not going to sell them anything. I'm just going to say, because it might be as simple as, hey, you're not using the right parent skills to reinforce what Bobby needs. I'll put you in our parents group and you'll get that. It's free. Or it might be, hey, let's sign up for like 12 private lessons a day because, little Bobby is scared of his own nose. But it opens the conversation using that really organic content as opposed to join now, 6 weeks, $69, free uniform. I'll even throw in, like that has its place. But there's a lot better ways, more powerful ways to get those stories out, to get people interested.
Absolutely.
Sonia, good morning.
I think the other factor too is we don't know how to connect members with each other, whether on Facebook or in the studio, right? Like you get a member to walk in your door and they're asking questions and signing up. Why don't you take the opportunity to have them become dynamically involved in the studio right away? Like connect them with another parent, connect the child with another child, connect them with the instructor.
So we're doing that quickly. That's speed, right?
Yeah.
But
methodical.
We're not saying, Mrs. Johnson, she's going to help you sign up. It's like there's that balance.
Yep. Exactly. Make sure they feel right at home. Make sure they're not just like, oh, I'm just going to be another parent who sits in the lobby. No, connect them. This is another reason why instead of having the seats, the traditional seats, I'm not saying anything is wrong with the traditional seats, but there is something about sitting in a chair next to another person next to you and you're all facing that one direction and sitting at a table. There is something about that camaraderie about sitting at a table, that friendship sitting at a table versus we're all watching our kids.
So check this out. Heidi and I had this wonderful business idea that we're not going to follow through on. So if anybody wants to take it, feel free. We've been lately taking our team meetings, both for us as business owners and our staff. We've been taking it off site. And we've been going to various little coffee houses. Like you've been to our town. We've got all those little restaurants and stuff in town. And just being outside of the office it just stirs the creativity, and it's a different energy because you're looking at each other over a cup of coffee and or an acai bowl or whatever it is, something simple. We're tossing ideas back and forth, and it's been so great. We've only been doing it this way for about a month. It's so great for just the energy in our office. Doing the same thing in your lobby, like we have rows of chairs because there's times when we have over 100 people here at any given moment. They need a place to sit. But we also have an area where there's going to be comfortable seating, and we're changing around, that front area by the front door there.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to do kind of what you have with the chairs, the more comfortable chairs, but we're not going to face them all towards the training floor because, look, we want every parent to watch every minute of every single class. Sometimes that's that parent's only downtime in their entire day. So we want a little area where they can sit and maybe face one another, chat with one another. We freely give up our office so that they can come in, and sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 teachers in here grading their papers or working on lesson plans, chatting back and forth. So when you start looking at stuff like this, that was not how do I get more students? It was how do I not have to get more students? Because I'm keeping people longer. My stick time is, I haven't looked at it this month yet, but when I last looked at it, it was something like 2.5 years, our average stick time, which can it be better? For sure. Is it above average in the martial arts industry? Heck yeah. Most of us are probably, if you measure it, somewhere between 7 months and a year. which means for every person that I have that quits at 7 months or a year, I've also got somebody that's been with me for 20 years, you know? So when you can kind of close the back door like that, you're also now not having to get as many students. So we've done the show before where we talked about vanity numbers, and, you know, number of leads doesn't mean anything. Number of trials doesn't mean anything. Number of students doesn't mean anything. When you start putting these numbers together in meaningful ways, it can show you trends and patterns and where you have room for improvement. I only need but like 8 students a month new to grow. That's gross, not net. That's gross, because my attrition is something like 1.5 students per month. So, you know, it took me a long time to get there. I'm not saying do it my way and things will magically be fixed. It took me a long time to be able to just say, I only do content marketing. It's not quite true. I still have some ads and stuff out there, but the main thrust is all just I'm appealing to people who already want what I do.
Yeah, but even when you have the ads out there, those ads match your content marketing.
They do. And I look at it, like when I hang out with you, John, and you know, we're having a grand old time, and I love your company and your dog and the, you know, the welcomingness. I always come up with a word. It's not a real word. The welcomingness of your team and your family and you know, the hospitality of your home. And then you take me out for wings, at least one. And it just raises the value of our relationship. I look at marketing the same way.
Yep.
I want us to be friends and compatriots and partners in your child's development long before I ever then say, by the way, this month only, we're doing this thing.
Yep. How many of the viewers right now have had people that opted in, say 4, 5, 6 months ago into your program and they never signed up, and then all of a sudden they sign up? I don't know if you guys pay attention to that or not, because I do. When people sign up or message me or text me or email us, I go back into the database. Who's this person? When did they opt in? And how many of the emails they read us? Like the system that we have gives us points on the side of the dashboard.
Yeah.
And those points is based on how active they are with
your
content.
They open emails, or they click links, or they. So here's a perfect example, and I wish I could do it. This is an anomaly. This has only happened once for me. So don't think I'm doing this all day long. I wish I was. Imagine we've had somebody that's been following us, opted into our emails, interacts on our Facebook. She's in our Facebook group. She hasn't signed up yet. She's been following us for 1.5 years. You know why she hasn't signed up yet? Her child is just now only 1.5 years old.
She's already been paving the surface. She already knows what she wants.
Until her child was old enough to come in for a mini Skillz evaluation. Yeah. Will she sign up? I can't say for sure. Is it likely? Oh, you betcha. And you know, that level of, hey, I just had a kid, let me start looking around. That's a one-shot thing for us. But it's not uncommon for us to have kids that are 2 years old that maybe they're not ready yet, even for mini Skillz, and they follow us for a long time before they sign up. We've had kids come in and try it for a month or two and then quit because the parents didn't feel they were ready, and maybe we miscommunicated somehow or didn't convey that right. And then 3 years later, they try again because they saw what we were doing.
So pull up Chad's comment if you can. And guys, Chad, I guess in his comment it says, we have it. So I'm sorry, we have it. So hoping that translates. Chad, you could turn that hope into a reality, okay? Because you're in control of them becoming your members. So in the Spark database, when it gives you those points and you realize that person is like their points are up high, send them a personal message that day, pretty much saying, hey, Jessica, I noticed that you're always opening up our emails and you've checked us out on, you know, I don't know, the website. I would love the opportunity to sit down with you and chat with you about our program. what was your main reason for opting in? Okay. And then you're going to have those that will reply back to you, right? What do you have to lose? Like 90% of the emails we send out, they don't reply back to us, right? And it's not intended for them to reply back to us. It's intended for it to be a flow, right? To put those little bugs in their ears. Oh, wow.
There's a reason he's there.
Yeah.
I'll let you finish.
So, though, for us, we had a person that opted in back in October, right? In the middle of January, she signed up her son under the pre-evaluation. And by the beginning of February, her 16 months old was in the mini Skillz program. But she followed us for a while.
Yeah. So now you led that off with saying you can hope or. So this character, this is Burgess Meredith. He's been, an American film icon for decades. But one of my favorite movies that he was in, aside from Rocky, was Grumpy Old Men. Now, Grumpy Old Men was a fantastic movie, and he was actually the father of the Grumpy Old Men. And he had this rough charm, what we might call like toilet zen in the martial arts, where it's just he was rough and crude and perverted, but he had such wisdom about the things he said. And one of my favorite quotes from that movie is, well, you can wish in one hand and poop in the other and see which one fills up first.
Yep.
And that's relevant because that's what a lot of us do. We say, well, we hope we're going to be able to do this, or I hope I'm going to be able to do that, or, hope. And John C. Maxwell's team talks about it as the hopa hopa. It's the language that you speak when you're not quite sure what to do, but you really wish something would happen. You start saying, well, I hope this and I hope that and hopa hopa hopa. So if you have these hopes, this is where you start then falling into that. All right, I hope I sign up 10 students today or I'm going to go out of business. Woo, how do I get 10 students?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, I need 10 students to sign up, or we take it back, I need X amount of revenue this month. Now I can start to break that down and say, well, I can do, if I can sign up 5 students, which I know I can do, that's this much revenue. If I can upgrade 2 people, that's this much revenue. If I can sell 3 t-shirts, it's this much revenue. I did this exercise for somebody a while back where they needed to make $10,000 within the next 2 months. And I showed them exactly how they were going to do it. And at first they were like, oh yeah, well, that's what I can do that.
Yeah.
Because it took it from I hope to here's how you do it.
I don't know how many of our Skillz coaching members are on right now because I can't really see everybody. But
Tim, I'm not putting that up on the screen, but yeah.
I read that. But I have literally right now, we've got schools since the time we started coaching them, whether it was July or August of last year, they're up 50% of their student body. You know what I mean? So in the 5 months we've been coaching them, they went up 50% of their student body, and they're reaching their goals faster and faster. I had a conversation with one of the Skillz coaching clients. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't know if I have that permission or not. He called me. It was around the beginning of January. He wasn't panicking, right? But there was that sense of panic. You can tell, right? Where so many people left because of the situation in his town, because he's in a special area of the town. And it was like, okay, what do I need to do to recover this? And so we're like, okay, let's do A, B, C. Let's put things in perspective. Who do you have under trial? What are you willing to give? What are you wanting to do? Blah, blah, blah. Within 2 weeks, it turned around. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you can make quick fixes.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. Let's go back to the sparring concept, okay? And this is when we do things on our own as entrepreneurs, right? When you're in the ring, okay, you only see your opponent. You only see the single-sided, fight, right? You're not seeing, yeah. Now, your coach is outside of the ring, or, your other coach may be on top of the bleachers watching. They see things differently. They see how that person is moving, right? It's just like football, right? You've got your coaches on the sidelines, but then you've got the coordinator sitting up on top because he sees things from a bigger, wider angle. We don't see that as business owners unless you have a coach in place, unless you've got somebody in place, because you tell your coach those ideas, those little things that's happening to you, and then your coach doesn't have a biased opinion, doesn't have there's no emotions attached to the business or anything. Your coach just tells you, what's up.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys have the opportunity to do this for the parents in your school too. We haven't spoken much about the training floor today, but this all does relate. Parent comes in, says, my 3-year-old won't sit still. I want you to teach them how to shut up once in a while. They need discipline. Well, yeah, I could take that little 3-year-old and beat him with a broomstick once and he'll sit still forever. But did I teach anything? We as skills instructors know that, hey, first of all, he's 3. That's normal for stage of development. The parent is in it 24/7, tearing their hair out. Sometimes they just need somebody from the outside to say, it's okay.
Is Gavin still on?
Now, for the next 6 months, watch how we do it. It's not a quick fix. It's going to be a more powerful fix. And so recognize the power and authority that you guys have as instructors too.
Utilize the parenting skills approach in what you're doing in terms of the business. So parenting skills can totally be taken in terms of me as a black belt working with the kids on the floor, right? Me as the instructor working with the kids on the floor. I can take the same parenting skills and apply it to let the parents apply it with their kids, right?
I has disagreed with that comment.
Okay, you're missing some kind of connection going on with your dog over there. Just kidding.
Yeah, I am.
So, again, take the same parenting skills, hacks, okay, the 8 skills, and see if you can apply it in your business, okay? Are you connected with your business enough, or are you just connected with, the floor? Are you in tune with what's happening, right? Are you patient enough for the results? Do you adapt to what's going on in your community, or are you just like, here, there, and everywhere? So there's a lot that could be done. It's just a matter of you being, I don't know, I'm going to use the word patient. So that's I think as business owners, we like patience. We want the quick fix.
Yeah. So basically, let's do a quick recap because I know we're a little over time here. So there's a lot going on in our businesses. And the very first thing we have to do is kind of sometimes take that breath, step back, or have somebody do it for us to make sure that we are thinking strategically, not just tactically, and looking for the quick fixes that we think are going to give us what we need. We need to make sure that, I see you trying to sneak there, Jen. We need to make sure that the steps that we take are actual long-term solutions, and that we're not putting out to the universe that we need something specific or too specific so that the universe gives us what we thought we needed, not what we really do. Definitely be working with at least one coach in your life, even if it's somebody that's not in the martial arts business. I mean, John and I are here for you, but if you're in the UK, you guys have Gavin and Jackson over there. But make sure you're getting a wide perspective. And then, we didn't really talk about it in these terms, but make sure that the ways that you're measuring yourself are not lag objectives. They're not things that, well, I need 10 students. The only way you get to see if that goal came true is to wait until after it happens. What are the things that you can do ahead of time or behind the scenes that make it more likely for those goals to come true? Instead of saying, I hope, you're going to set together, your plans, and then make objective sets of measurements so you know exactly where you are before that goal has to come to fruition. So
I think we say we need 10 students because there's a certain number in mind, right? Okay, so here's a quick help, and I know we're over, but maybe this will help you guys rethink things. Instead of saying I need 10 students, find out the total amount of money you would like to make monthly. Say $30,000.
Don't forget to pay yourself.
So, okay, I don't know, say $40,000, whatever number they want,
That's
right?
better.
Okay, whatever number you want. So include everything, payroll, all that stuff, right? And again, don't forget to pay yourself, right? So when you have a total amount of money, that's a much better approach than saying I need 10 students this month. Because the 10 students is not going to take you to 30,000, right? The 10 students is only going to get you closer to that number.
And remember, the other thing is, that gets you to your immediate goal. But if your goal is to get from 100 to 150 students or to 200 students, like our goal, we like to be around 165 students. I don't like to go much above that. But our business model is around that. So, it's based around that. So it works for us. But if you got to 100 students doing a certain thing and you hit a plateau, it's because you only caught up to your attrition rate. That's all you did. And you're going to have to do more or different to get beyond that. So it's not just about what's the tactic. It's about what am I building for my end vision, whether it's a training goal for your students, a business goal for yourself, or don't forget that what you do affects everything you do, a personal goal for your own development. Because the better you are as a person, the better you're going to be for everybody else.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's wrap it there. Don't forget to get your tickets for MegaCon. We are down to the last 10 or so VIP tickets, and I know I have 2 more sold when I get on my coaching call tomorrow. So don't wait. VIP day is going to be crazy.
Absolutely.
VIP day does include access to MegaCon, but they are separate events. So the VIP cost is what the VIP cost is. You will then also get access to MegaCon. It does not work the other way, unfortunately, because we plan on blowing your brains right out your heads.
Yep. If you're a Skillz member and you purchase the VIP ticket, that means your free ticket to general admission could be passed on to one of your team members.
Should be passed on.
Yep. Should be passed on.
Bring the whole team.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gents, ninjas of all sizes, we're going to wrap it here. We will see you next week. If you guys have any feedback on the episode, be sure to let us know either in the comments below or by shooting us a message if it's something a little more personal. If you'd like to have a show about a trouble that you're having in your business, also let us know, and we will do a custom show just for you because we like you like that. All right, everybody, time to go get it.
Go crush your week, guys. Peace out.
Later.